What's going on, everybody? My name is Jake, and I'm here to break down another draft for you guys. Today we got 2008, a really interesting draft. Honestly, you're going to see some names in this draft that you probably haven't thought of in a while, but you're going to remember them. So, without wasting too much time, let's do it. Let's break down this draft. Alright, so obviously we're just going to go top to bottom and just kind of bring up everyone's names. The actual first pick in this draft was tackle Jake Long to the Dolphins, so the first quarterback off the board was Matt Ryan at 3, followed by Joe Flacco at 18 in the first round. Those were the only two first-round quarterbacks. You probably know those guys pretty well, but let's go through the rest of the draft real quick. The Green Bay Packers in the second round took Brian Brohm. The Miami Dolphins in the second round took Chad Henne, who actually just recently retired last year. The New England Patriots took Kevin O'Connell in the third round, who is currently the coach of the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota in the fifth round took John David Booty, who is the brother of Josh Booty, mentioned in the 2001 draft video. After that, we have Oregon quarterback Dennis Dixon, Josh Johnson, who's still active, Eric Ainge, Colt Brennan, Andre Woodson, Matt Flynn, and then Alex Brink. So obviously, let's start breaking them down. So I want to start with the two guys who blatantly basically were never even a thing in the NFL whatsoever, and that is Andre Woodson and Alex Brink. If I'm being honest, these are definitely the two guys I know the least about, but that's also because they basically weren't in the NFL. They were practice squad players. That being said, just so you know literally anything about them, Andre Woodson went to Kentucky, and Alex Brink went to Washington State. Alright, let's talk about the quarterback drafted in between both of those guys, the one and only Matt Flynn. So for those of you who don't know Matt Flynn, you're probably looking at his stats right now and going, who was this guy? This guy was Aaron Rodgers' backup for a number of years, including the year in 2010 where he won his Super Bowl. As you can see, he did start a game that season. Now, the best part about Matt Flynn is not that he was some world-breaking quarterback, but he does have one of the greatest games in NFL history. Now, if you look on the right there, you can see that Week 17 in 2011, Matt Flynn and Matt Stafford went up against each other and both had pretty monstrous games. Matt Flynn came out on top to keep the Green Bay Packers at 15-1, their greatest season in team history, and he managed to parlay that into a big contract with the Seattle Seahawks, where he was supposed to be the presumptive starter for the 2012 season until Mr. Russell Wilson stepped up and just had a really great preseason, giving him the starting job. After a shit show with the Seahawks and basically being nothing for the Raiders, Matt did manage to find his way back to the Packers, where he had to start a number of games for an injured Aaron Rodgers in 2013, leading them to a pretty dog-water 2-3 record, but it actually did keep them alive in the playoffs that year, and they did manage to make the playoffs. Shout out Matt Flynn. Next, we're going to talk about Colt Brennan. You might know his name, you might not. He never actually played in the NFL, but he has quite a story, so it's worth talking about. So, I obviously have his college stats up there because he never played in the NFL, but oh my god, look at those numbers. Basically, Colt got in trouble his first semester at college, going to Colorado State. He had to transfer to Hawaii, and long story short, became a statistical nightmare at Hawaii and actually had some buzz going into the NFL. In June Jones' run-and-shoot system, Brennan was able to put up 58 touchdowns in 2006, which is still third all-time in college football, only behind Joe Burrow and Bailey Zappi. Unfortunately, Brennan's career was never able to get off the ground due to various injuries and accidents he would get into, along with drug problems. Brennan would unfortunately pass away in 2021, but he still goes down as a Hawaii football legend. Next up, we have New York Jets legend Eric Ainge. While being a very productive quarterback out of Tennessee, Eric has absolutely no pro career to really speak of, but he is fondly remembered by Jets fans for some reason. I don't even have stats that I can show, like, yeah, if you want, I can show his college stats. There you go, that's his college stats. He wasn't that good. At the very least, he was absolutely no Colt Brennan, so let's move on to the next guy. Yup, that's Josh Johnson. That's the Josh Johnson. The most teams in NFL history played for Josh Johnson. I need you to like this video if you A, didn't know Josh Johnson played for the Bills, and B, didn't know Josh Johnson was still active. If not, you should probably like the video anyways, but still. As of right now, he is the last quarterback from this class to even play in a playoff game, so that's something. I don't even feel like I need to really show you his stats. I will, but I'm actually just going to show you the amount of teams he's played for instead. Alright, let's do this. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, San Francisco 49ers, Sacramento Mountain Lions, Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, San Francisco 49ers, Cincinnati Bengals again, New York Jets. Indianapolis Colts, Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, New York Giants, Houston Texans, Oakland Raiders, Washington Redskins, the San Diego Fleet, Detroit Lions, Los Angeles Wildcats, San Francisco 49ers, New York Jets again, Baltimore Ravens, Denver Broncos, San Francisco 49ers, and this offseason he was re-signed to be on the Baltimore Ravens again. If you need to know the renters market for any city in this country, this guy has got you. And I just want to make sure you understand, this isn't a Ryan Fitzpatrick situation where he's been good almost everywhere he went. This guy has 13 career passing touchdowns. I would absolutely love to know how this guy keeps getting a job in the NFL. He's never been a good quarterback ever, but he's the last man standing from the 2008 draft, and for that, Josh, you have my condolences. All right, we gotta move on. We totally gotta move on. This is Dennis Dixon. Dennis was a fifth-round quarterback out of Oregon, and he had a lot of upside because he was kind of mobile. He filled in for a couple of games in 2010, and he actually won both of them. That being said, Dennis had a really short career, mostly bouncing around practice squads, but hey, he has 2 NFL victories, and that's a lot more than, I don't know, Andre Woodson can say. I do have to give it to Dennis, though. He does have 2 Super Bowl rings, one with the Steelers and one with the Ravens. That being said, let's move on. This is John David Booty, and much like his incredibly unremarkable brother, he is also an incredibly unremarkable NFL quarterback. He had never taken a regular season snap ever. I can't even find a picture of this guy in his Vikings uniform outside of this picture of him where it looks like it was taken in 1999. So long, John. I really hope I don't have to commentate on anyone else in your family at all. Might not look like it now, but this is Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell when he was a player drafted by the Patriots. So for being a pretty decent NFL coach, Kevin basically didn't play in the NFL. He took 6 passing attempts for the Patriots in 2008. I wonder why. Couldn't have been because Matt Castle was their starting quarterback that year and they were willing to throw anything at the wall. Now, the reason I want to talk about Kevin O'Connell a little more in depth is because this guy probably has one of the craziest NFL combines and measurables I've ever seen for a quarterback that just blatantly did not work out. My dude is 6'5", 230, running a 4.6 40. Only Josh Johnson had a faster 40-yard time in this draft, by the way. Kevin O'Connell is proof that it's more than just being a good athlete to play in the NFL. And it's crazy that he is a head coach now. Next up, we got 3rd round pick to the Miami Dolphins, Chad Henne. You probably do know Chad Henne because he, again, has been around the league for a pretty long time. Chad was a spot starter for Miami, then he kind of became a backup in Jacksonville, and then in Kansas City, he became Patrick Mahomes' backup, and that's kind of what he's most well known for now. Obviously, if you're looking at his number of 60 touchdowns to 63 interceptions, it's nothing phenomenal, but he did do his job when he was needed. He did stick around the league for a really long time, and he did win 2 rings with the Kansas City Chiefs. Enjoy your retirement, Chad. You definitely earned it, bud. All right, let's talk about a real Packers legend, Brian Brohm. I think it's Brian Brohm. So for those of you who don't follow quarterbacks as much, you're probably like, wait, why did Green Bay draft a quarterback in the 2nd round in 2008?
You think Jordan Love was the first time they tried to replace Aaron Rodgers? You're a scrub!
Brian wasn't brought in to replace Aaron Rodgers necessarily, but he was brought in to maybe replace Brett Favre. The Packers weren't really sure what they had with Aaron Rodgers by 2008 because obviously he'd been sitting on the bench for a number of years, and what they felt was necessary was just, hey, let's go draft a guy in the 2nd round who has a lot of potential. Long story short, he never actually played for the Packers, and if you look at his stats, he played 2 games for the Bills. He actually threw Terrell Owens his 1,000th catch. Weird. I don't know. But the one last thing I really want to mention about Brian is that he did not even make it as the backup quarterback for the Packers because aforementioned Matt Flynn took that spot no problem. I'm sorry you were really bad, Brian. I'm so sorry. Alright, we're so close to being done with this. Oh my god. So the next guy drafted is a 1st round quarterback, Mr. Joe Flacco himself. Joe Cool, Joe Amazing, Joe Phenomenal, Joe actually won a Super Bowl.
Jake, when you got a high resolution picture of Joe Flacco?
Probably because his resume is so big that I really can't show the whole thing. Look at that dopey picture of this guy's face.
I think in 15 years, a lot of people are going to have a lot of trouble trying to figure out if Joe Flacco was a good quarterback or not. Because if you're just going by the numbers, they're not phenomenal, but they're a lot better than some quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame. This guy also has one of the absolute greatest postseason runs of all time.
God, just look at that 2012.
Do not ever forget that this absolute doofus maloofus took out Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Colin Kaepernick in one postseason without throwing a single interception. He might never make it to the Hall of Fame, but he will be remembered with greats such as Jim Plunkett, Eli Manning, Trent Dilfer, and of course, Brad Johnson. Much love to you, Joe. I hope you're enjoying retirement. Alright, who do we got next? Oh, God! Oh, man, it's Matty Ice. It's Matt Ryan. Sorry, Matt. I didn't mean to go. I didn't mean to get jumpy and... Oh, my God! Sorry, God, let's get a different picture. There we go. That's the Matty Ice I know. Alright, let's talk about Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is the best quarterback in this class, bar none. It's not even close. He never won a Super Bowl, unfortunately, but he did come pretty close. Not going to bring up 28-3 because that was not his fault. He's the only one in this class to win an MVP, and his MVP season is one of the top 10 best passing seasons any quarterback has ever had. That's not my opinion. He wasn't known as an amazing playoff quarterback, but I think he kind of gets dragged through the mud a little bit because I guess the Falcons just weren't very good a lot of those seasons he went to the playoffs. Let's take a little peek at his MVP season before we start ranking everybody. He had 38 touchdowns to 7 picks, almost 5,000 passing yards, and a 9.3 yards per attempt. If Matt Ryan makes it to the Hall of Fame, it's because his 2016 season was so phenomenal that it just dropped him right in. Alright, that's every quarterback in the draft. Guess we should start ranking them. I think it's pretty obvious what everyone's rank is, but hey, isn't that why you're watching this video? So at number 12, I'm just going to put Alex Brink and Andre Woodson together. Both of them are bad. After that, Eric Ainge. I'm pretty much grasping at straws trying to rank the difference between these three guys because honestly, they're all pretty bad. Again, not much of a reason why he's above Eric Ainge. These guys are all pretty much just plug and play. You can put them wherever you want in this ranking. I just personally think John David Booty is probably better than Eric Ainge, Alex Brink, and Andre Woodson. No disrespect to the current Vikings head coach, but he is definitely worse than the 8 players ahead of him on this list, but I do have to put him against the scrubs, so he's probably better than them. So you can tell me I'm wrong if you want, but I actually think Colt Brennan, if he got the chance to play, would have probably been a pretty decent NFL quarterback. He really just never got a shot, and I'm going to put him over Kevin O'Connell, even though Kevin O'Connell did actually take a snap. I really have no reason to put Brian Brome over Colt Brennan, besides the fact that he played. He was a second-round pick. Like, this guy's career was an absolute failure. I've always disliked him because he was dog shit on the Bills. Not much to say about Brian Brome. He's just clearly worse than everyone ahead of him and maybe better than everyone below him. Number 6, going to Dennis Dixon. He at least won 2 games in the NFL. Obviously, he never showed too much, but he did stick around a lot longer than the rest of these guys. So, Dennis, here's your props. We're going to give number 5 to the only active quarterback on the list, Josh Johnson. Josh, I have no idea how you stuck around this long, and you are only 5 because you have stuck around this long. I am sure if Dennis Dixon managed to stick around this long, he would have probably taken the spot because he was a better quarterback than you. After that, we got Matt Flynn, who for his entire career was actually a pretty respectable backup quarterback. He just didn't really play that long, but his stats are actually better than Josh Johnson, so I don't care. He's better. Next up, we got Chad Henne. He's easily the most successful out of all the players below him. He also does have 2 Super Bowl rings. Matt Flynn has 1 too, but who cares? Actually, Dennis Dixon has 2 now, I think about it as well. Unrelated. Chad Henne just retired last year. He was a fine backup quarterback. He was nothing special in reality, but he definitely stuck around the league and did exactly what he was asked for many years. So here you go, Chad, number 3. Obviously, then, we're going to have Joe Flacco. Joe was a phenomenal quarterback in the NFL for a number of seasons. He was the Ravens starter for an upwards of 10 years and was really only replaced when Lamar Jackson showed that he is the next Michael Vick. So, Joe, seriously, nothing but love. So, obviously, that means the number 1 quarterback of the 2008 draft is, in fact, Matt Ryan, as I said before.
It's really not even close. If you want to try and say that Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl over him, fine. Matt Ryan's stats make him look like he played in the 1980s. Matt is actually also freshly retired, so Matt, I hope you enjoy your retirement. You were a phenomenal quarterback, and nothing but love. And that is the quarterbacks from the 2008 NFL Draft. Please let me know what you thought about the video. If you have any comments, if you think I'm wrong in the ranking, you think one guy's better than another guy, I'd love to know, because I'll talk to you about it in the comments. Thank you, subscribe, whatever, all that stuff that YouTube tells me to tell you, I want you to do it. You already know. I don't need to keep repeating all the same things that every other person says. So thank you for watching, and can't wait for the next one.